And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special segment on the 17th day of September. While looking out the window today, we got 21 degrees already, and it is going to get up to about 24. We might even touch on 25 today, and it's going to be a sunny day today. Well, right now, we will quickly look at the historic news that made us today. Well, is that news. Voluntary assisted dying legislation has passed the Queensland Parliament, and voluntary assisted is a deeply personal issue for many Queenslanders, and it's an historic moment. And as the Premier says, that she has thought long and hard about the issue involved and consulted widely to ascertain the views of others and to best inform. But as we know, not everyone's happy with it, but there's always to and from of the cases. Here's the report by Channel 9 yesterday.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. Let's go straight to the floor of the Queensland Parliament, where history has just been made. Controversial laws allowing voluntary assisted dying have just been passed with an overwhelming conscience vote. This has been one of the most emotional, sensitive and personal issues to come before our Parliament. Lane Calcutt begins this bulletin.
After 3 years of public discussion, 3 days of parliamentary debate, it all came down to this.
The result of the division is ayes 61, noes 30. The question is resolved in the affirmative.
History in the making. Voluntary assisted dying is now legal in Queensland. Not since the abortion debate has there been such a sensitive, emotional debate after MPs grappled with their voters' opinions and their own personal, religious and moral convictions.
As members are aware, the bill is the product of 3 long years of work.
All MPs were given a conscience vote free of party politics.
There is not equal access across this state or timely access to quality palliative care.
The legislation demands that a patient must have less than 12 months to live, have more than one medical opinion, be over 18 and have the capacity to make the decision. Medical staff, faith-run organisations can conscientiously object.
It has been a very considered debate, and as many members on both sides of the House have said, it's been a very difficult debate. But I think our goal in everything is to make sure we get this right.
The overwhelming feeling...
So right now we'll go to Queensland Parliament House where things are happening live, and then we will come back and join the discussion there.
Across 38 of our community vaccination hubs. Of course, we've got other small outreach sites across Queensland, but we will have our 38 big community hubs, which includes our big mass vaccination centres. So the Brisbane Convention Exhibition Centre and also the Brisbane Entertainment Centre at Boondall. All of these 38 centres will be open for their bookings as well as walk-ins. So we encourage people to roll up their sleeve and get vaccinated. Anyone who is 12 or above can come and get vaccinated this weekend at one of those community hubs. We want to make sure people are getting choice. The Morrison government promised people 60 and over that later in the year they would be given choice of vaccines. We know people want to get vaccinated, but there's some who haven't yet. So come out and get vaccinated. We also know our GPs and our community pharmacies are also stepping up and trying to get vaccine out the door as quickly as possible, but we are waiting for more supply from the Commonwealth, particularly for our GPs. And we'll have Moderna coming next week for our community pharmacies as well. We also have the NRL, of course, playing in Mackay this weekend. So tonight, Manly and the Roosters playing, and of course we've got the Panthers and the Eels playing tomorrow. We've got a pop-up vaccination centre there at the game, and we're hoping lots of people are going to come in and either get vaccinated, get booked, or get information about where their closest vaccination site is. So the site will open from 3 p.m. today, so if you are heading to the game, pop over early and get your vaccination. So we do have all of those community vaccination hubs up online now. So have a look where your closest hubs are and what times. We'll have extended hours as well. I want to give a huge shout out to our health workers across our hospital and health services to everyone, our care army, everyone who's coming out to help us this weekend. Of course, the GPs and the community pharmacies, our private health workers who are coming out. This is a multi-agency, government and non-government collaboration to get as many people vaccinated this weekend as possible. So don't miss your opportunity. Roll up and get vaccinated. I'll now hand over to Dr. Young, talk a bit more about our current cluster, and then of course we'll hear from the Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you, Minister. So yes, excellent news. Due to the fantastic work done by that college, the latest case is a household contact but has been in home quarantine for their entire period. Now, unfortunately for that family, their 14 days starts all over again. So please do anything you can to support all of these families, 1,000 of them that are in quarantine. It's so critical that they continue to be in quarantine. They've been doing a wonderful job. Now, our job for the rest of us who aren't in quarantine this weekend is, if you haven't been vaccinated, to roll up to one of those 38 venues across our entire state and get vaccinated. If you have a booking, of course, come forward. You will be vaccinated at the time of your booking. If you don't have a booking this weekend, you can still come forward. Just walk up. You might have to wait for a little while. You mightn't. Have a look at the queues, look at somewhere else maybe, or if you think the queues are too long, make a booking then and there to come back at another time. But this is our chance. We are starting to get that big ramp up in vaccine supply that we've been promised for many months now. It's now arriving into Queensland. Now is the time we can really start escalating. So we're getting more doses. The Queensland Health Clinics, GPs are starting to get more doses of Pfizer vaccine, and next week our pharmacies start getting doses of Moderna. So this is the time to really ramp up. It's taken us since the 22nd of February, when we did our first vaccination of a nurse down at the Gold Coast, to now to get half of the doses out the door. The aim is over the next month to 2 months to get the rest out. It's really important because although everyone has done a brilliant job in stopping the virus spreading in Queensland, eventually it will start spreading. We can't hold it back forever. So the best response to that is for as many people as possible to be vaccinated. Thank you.
Can I just add to that there's been significant planning gone into this weekend. So we have used our whole of government disaster management frameworks. So all of our local police are engaged in this. People and families can go out with confidence knowing that this will be well organised and that there will be sufficient resources there to assist them as they go out and get vaccinated. So let's all see that happen. Operationally, it's very busy at our borders. 16,160 vehicles checked yesterday, 191 turned around. We had 6 placed into quarantine as a result of people coming into our state, 6 on-the-spot fines issued at our borders, and unfortunately an arrest at Texas in southern Darling Downs, where a truck driver, having been refused entry.
That report there, because today we have lots to get through. Now let's get back to our lead story that I was talking about, the assisted dying and how it has passed Queensland Bill. Here's that breaking news and the historic footage from Channel 9.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. Let's go straight to the floor of the Queensland Parliament, where history has just been made. Controversial laws allowing voluntary assisted dying have just been passed with an overwhelming conscience vote. This has been one of the most emotional, sensitive and personal issues to come before our Parliament. Lane Calcutt begins this bulletin.
After 3 years of public discussion, 3 days of parliamentary debate, it all came down to this.
The result of the division is ayes 61, noes 30. The question is resolved in the affirmative.
History in the making. Voluntary assisted dying is now legal in Queensland. Not since the abortion debate has there been such a sensitive, emotional debate after MPs grappled with their voters' opinions and their own personal, religious and moral convictions.
As members are aware, the bill is the product of 3 long years of work.
All MPs were given a conscience vote free of party politics.
There is not equal access across this state or timely access to quality palliative care.
The legislation demands that a patient must have less than 12 months to live, have more than one medical opinion, be over 18 and have the capacity to make the decision. Medical staff, faith-run organisations can conscientiously object.
It has been a very considered debate, and as many members on both sides of the House have said, it's been a very difficult debate. But I think our goal in everything is to make sure we get this right.
The overwhelming feeling of today will be a sense of relief by the terminally ill. The terminally ill in Queensland are the centrepiece for these laws, the terminally ill and their loved ones.
Former Northern Territory Chief Minister Marshall Perrin was the first to introduce legislation 26 years ago.
This is the best bill that has been introduced anywhere. It's been the most thoroughly researched.
It was clear very early there was enough support for the bill to pass. Finally, it has. Now, the legislation won't take effect until January 2023. Supporters say that, sadly, many will pass before then without the right to decide when to die. Andrew?
The right to decide when to die. Well, whose role is that? Who decides when someone is to die? Well, anyway, that's another debate for another time. So, but history has been made. That is the law, and but as mentioned, it's not effective straight away. But it has taken that long to come to the Parliament and be debated upon and passed. As we know, there are many faith groups and many religious organizations, many people of different beliefs who are opposing the idea. But once it's in the Parliament, once it's been passed, there is nothing to say that it can't be repealed with enough support in the community. But as with the current makeup of the Parliament and the current members voting, it has passed, and it is a historic moment for Queensland. Right now, let's go to Victoria.
Today's spring weather provided perfect conditions for a picnic. These empty tables are likely to be full this weekend.
Well overdue, we can't wait for it.
I've got a few friends lined up for a picnic.
That's incredible because we haven't seen our grandson for 3 months, so we'll plan to see him on Sunday.
Victorians will be rewarded for hitting the 70% single dose target, despite the daily case numbers passing 500 for the first time in 13 months.
There are 5 reasons to leave the home at the moment. There will, from midnight tomorrow night, be a 6th.
People in Melbourne and Ballarat will be able to meet with one other person outside for a picnic. But if you're fully vaccinated, you can socialise outdoors in groups of 5 from 2 households.
We're not going to have police in every park. We're not going to have police out there requiring people to prove that they've been vaccinated. There's a degree of good faith in this. I'm asking people to do the right thing.
The exercise limit will also double from 2 hours to 4, and the 5-kilometre travel restriction will be increased to 10, but the curfew remains.
These are modest. We've never tried to oversell them, but they're not unimportant. They are meaningful.
While most of today's cases were again in Melbourne's north and west, authorities are concerned about a growing number of infections in the city's southeast, including in Dandenong, Keysborough and Clyde North.
We're starting to see some seeding out now, particularly from essential workers moving across the city, moving from the north and west into the southeast.
Sunday is the day Victorians will get a roadmap for what the next few months will look like. But the Australian Medical Association says it'd be reckless to lift the current lockdown before 80% of Victorians over 12 are vaccinated, which could be mid-November.
We need to do everything safely, sensibly, with a sophisticated approach.
The AMA have a view, and they're not wrong.
But the Premier says he'll be sticking to the national plan. Bridget Rollison, ABC News.
And of course, the national plan is what he will be going off, which is a good way to go. And as we can see, that restrictions are easing, and they will be easing. And yesterday we were at Indo's conference, and one thing that was quite clear that came out of there with many kinds of business people who were there, that people in the tourism industry are bracing up for a boom. Why? Well, number one, people have not been going everywhere, so they have been saving money. So people have actually been able to accumulate and save some money because people were not traveling. And people are sick and tired of being at home and they want to go out. And as soon as the restrictions lift, everyone will want to go. So that's when the big rush will be and the prices will go up. So the tip was that if you are planning something with all the offers on the floor right now, take them up, pre-book, and be ready when the time comes for travel and the travel restrictions ease. If you wait for that long, you will end up in the rush and you will end up paying more. Well, right now, we looked at the report from Victoria, but what's happening with the Victorians over this long extended lockdown period? What kind of effect is it having on them?
Melbourne might still be in lockdown, but its citizens are on the move.
After 220 odd days of lockdown, we're over it, and compliance is falling. Mobility's higher now than it was in previous lockdowns.
Some roads that were almost deserted during last year's lockdown are now bustling.
This year, where we've had so much time in lockdown, those mental health impacts are becoming greater and affecting us. It is probably causing people to spend more time outside and perhaps break the rules, for want of a better expression.
Mobility data from Melbourne University shows an increase of over 10% in this lockdown compared to the same time last year. While Premier Daniel Andrews is set to outline the full roadmap out of restrictions on Sunday, today he offered some respite, with small outdoor gatherings for vaccinated Victorians, private real estate inspections and a 10-kilometre travel limit all given the green light.
We're not overselling it. They are modest changes, but they are significant.
While the easing of restrictions has been welcomed, some businesses say it doesn't go far enough. Grocer Rosa Ansaldo says she's lost 60% of her revenue due to lockdowns, and the 10-kilometre travel limit won't make a huge difference.
Most of our customers, they come from further out, they bring cars, they buy in bulk. For me personally, it's been emotionally stressful, it's been physically stressful, it's been financially stressful. It's extremely hard to get up at 2:30 in the morning to know you're going to come to work, do all your work and absolutely earn nothing.
Of course, you'd always like to do more, but we have more cases today than we've had for a very long time. We've got more people in hospital than we've had for a very long time, and we have to balance this out.
With over 500 new COVID cases.
And balancing it out, it is a very tough balancing act, and that was the scene there from the good old Victoria Market. Love that place. It's always bustling in the good old style. It's not a very modern place, and that's what I like about that market. Being there reminds of the old days. Well, right now, let's go to Sydney before we go to our daily India report. I guess what they're trying to show there is all the areas that would normally be bustling with people, empty. This is the harsh reality of Sydney at this point in time. School halls are empty, which would have been full with activities. The man said, and as you have seen, the train stations, the trains, everything is just down to bare minimum at this point in time. Well, having looked at the major cities, let's look at some of the regional areas, say Lismore and Albury.
Barely out of lockdown, Lismore businesses have been plunged straight back in.
We're fully stocked with a full cool room
of fresh produce, which we don't know what we're going to do with now, to be honest with you.
Lismore has one confirmed case and Albury 2, sparking snap lockdowns in both areas.
Health has determined that 7 days will be appropriate, but I'm just warning the community that it may be longer.
A confirmed case attended a public school in the Lismore area on Monday. Several shops have been listed as casual contact sites. Health authorities say the infection was acquired in Sydney.
A parent that returned back to Lismore with their child, it was an exposure in the school environment as well, so that there is issues there.
At the opposite end of the state, one of the Albury cases...
So there you go. The point is that all it takes is one person to have with the virus, and then the lockdown could be there. And the other point is that it has always been by people travelling, crossing the borders and moving. So, it proves the point that the lockdowns have actually worked. And we'd like to welcome Vina all the way from Fiji joining in. Good to see you there. So, if you look at these cases, when they have all been acquired, from the major cities or from the outbreak areas, and people move into, say, the, regional areas, and all of a sudden there's a case there. And as a consequence, the whole area is locked down. So, authorities are doing what they can to control. Of course, some of the people that are allowed to move around are the delivery drivers, remove list and others. But how do you police everyone? Well, right now it's time to take a commercial break before we go into the Daily India Report.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
Real estate is their world. Don't forget that every Wednesday we have the real estate update with Usha Chandra right here on this channel. And we have got some exciting news. There's some exciting new programs, specialist programs coming our way very, very soon as well. Well, right now it's time to go to our Daily India Report. Remember that the Daily India Report is brought to you by the courtesy of PIO TV. And with that, let's welcome to Ankita.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you glimpses of the changing India and the growing engagement of the Indian diaspora with India. In our first story, India invites US companies to invest in defense manufacturing. Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on 15 September invited US companies to invest in India under the Make in India, Make for the World program. The minister was delivering the inaugural address at the 18th India-US Economic Summit on the theme Bouncing Back Resilient Recovery Path Post-COVID-19, organized by the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce through video conferencing. Terming the defense sector as an integral part of not just the security but the overall growth of the country, Singh listed the initiatives taken by the Government of India and said it has transformed India into a strong and reliable investment destination. The Defence Minister called upon the industry leaders to focus on transfer of technology through joint ventures to realise the country's true potential in the defence sector. He also emphasised that there is a lot of scope for the American and Indian defence industries for co-production and co-development, adding that Indian industry can supply components to American industries. Singh also assured that their government is open for new ideas to create a business-friendly environment in India and is committed to pushing all types of entrepreneurship and manufacturing in the defence sector. India slams Pakistan at UNHRC, saying India does not need lessons from Pakistan as the worst abuser of human rights. India has slammed Pakistan for the misuse of the UN Human Rights Council platform for false and malicious propaganda against India. Indian representatives at the UN said on 15 September that India, quote, does not need lessons from a failed state like Pakistan, which is the epicenter of terrorism and the worst abuser of human rights, end quote. India also regretted and rejected the reference made by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to Jammu and Kashmir, saying OIC had no locus standi to comment on the internal affairs of India. Exercising its right of reply to the statements made by Pakistan and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation at the UNHRC, India's first secretary at the Indian mission to UN in Geneva, Pawan Bhade, said Islamabad has failed to protect the rights of its own minorities. Bhade said the Council is aware of Pakistan's attempts to divert the forum's attention from serious human rights violations being perpetrated by the Islamabad government, including in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address SCO Summit plenary session virtually on September 17th. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the plenary session of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit virtually on September 17th, being held in the Tajikistan capital of Dushanbe amidst neighboring Afghanistan under Taliban rule. The 21st meeting of the SCO Council of Heads of State will be held on September 17th in Dushanbe in a hybrid format. The meeting will be chaired by the President of Tajikistan, Emomali Rahman. Indian Prime Minister Modi will lead the Indian delegation and address the plenary session of the summit via video link, while India will be represented at Dushanbe by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. The SCO will be attended by the leaders of the SCO member states, observer states, Secretary General of the SCO, Executive Director of the SCO Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, President of Turkmenistan and other invited guests, an official statement said. This is the first SCO summit being held in a hybrid format and the fourth summit that India will participate in as a full-fledged member of SCO. Summit leaders are expected to review the organization's activities over the past 2 decades and discuss the state and prospects of future cooperation. Topical issues of regional and international importance are also expected to be discussed, it said. In 2017, India and Pakistan became members of the regional body that focuses on political, security and economic issues. The SCO was established in 2001 with 6 founding members: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, China, Russia and Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. With India and Pakistan, the SCO has 8 member states currently. It has 4 observer countries: Afghanistan, Belarus, Iran and Mongolia. Tehran is soon to become a full member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Iran's participation will also be important in view of the situation in Afghanistan. Indian government provides a major relief package for telecom companies, which offers a lifeline for crisis-hit Vodafone Idea. The India government has finally offered a lifeline to crisis-ridden Vodafone Idea and also respite to other private telecom operators. The Indian cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 15th September cleared the much-awaited relief package for the sector, which includes a moratorium on payment of spectrum dues. Information Technology and Communication Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said a 4-year moratorium has been given for all dues of telecom service providers. These are expected to protect and generate employment opportunities, promote healthy competition, protect interests of consumers, infuse liquidity and encourage investment and reduce the regulatory burden on telecom service providers. Among the reforms, the cabinet also approved 100% FDI through an automatic route in the telecom sector. The minister said while 100% of FDI was allowed earlier as well, only 49% could come through the automatic route. Among the 3 private telecom players, Vodafone Idea Limited is facing an existential crisis, and its closure would mean duopoly in the industry besides a considerable bearing on its employees, subscribers, banks and associated industries. Kumar Mangalam Birla, ex-chairman of Vodafone Idea, had earlier written to the cabinet secretary offering his stake in the company to the government or any entity approved by it for free. He later quit as chairman of the debt-laden telco. Vodafone Idea had a total debt of 190,000 crore rupees as of June 30th, which includes deferred spectrum payment obligations of 106,000 crores and an adjusted gross revenue liability of 62,180 crore rupees. Another major player, Bharti Airtel, has also been under financial pressure. The company's chairman Sunil Mittal recently said that there is tremendous stress in the telecom sector and tariffs need to go up soon. The package is also expected to boost 4G proliferation, infuse liquidity and create an enabling environment for investment in 5G networks. Tata and SpiceJet bid for the sale of Air India. The Tata Group, through a holding company, is among the front runners to acquire Air India. Budget airline SpiceJet chairman Ajay Singh is also expected to pitch for the airline. Singh is making the bid in his personal capacity. Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia had earlier made it clear that the September 15th deadline for the process is fixed and will not change. Tata set up Tata Airlines in 1932, which in 1946 was renamed Air India. The government took control of the airline in 1953, but JRD Tata continued to be its chairman till 1977. At present, Tata operates Vistara in partnership with Singapore Airlines and Air Asia India in partnership with Malaysia's Air Asia. Air India has a debt of 43,000 crores, of which 22,000 crores will also be transferred to the Air India Asset Holding Limited. The government is planning to sell 100% stake in the airline and its low-cost arm Air India Express and 50% stake in ground handling company Air India SATS Airport Services Private Limited. Other properties include Mumbai's Air India building and Delhi's Airlines House will also be a part of the deal. Currently, the airline controls over 4,400 domestic and 1,800 international landing and parking slots at domestic airports as well as 900 slots abroad. Film Rame Andalum Ravane Andalum is set to release on Amazon Prime on September 24th. On 15th September, the trailer of Rame Andalam Ravane Andalam was dropped. Produced by 2D Entertainment and directed by Arisil Murthy, the social drama will release on Amazon Prime Video on September 24th. The movie stars Ramya Pandian, Vani Bhojan, Mithun Manikkam and Vadivel Murugan in pivotal roles. The trailer shows a farmer and his wife who love their two bulls like their children. What happens when they lose their bulls forms the crux of the story. In breaking news today, Indian equity indices Sensex and Nifty touched lifetime highs in early trade on 16th September as the frontline equity indices on the BSE and National Stock Exchange opened to fresh record highs, led by gains in fast-moving consumer goods and banking stocks. The S&P Sensex jumped 152.58 points to hit new lifetime high of 58,875.78 in opening deals, while the Nifty 50 surged 50.30 points to a record high of 17,569.75. IndusInd Bank was the top gainer in the Sensex pack, rising nearly 3%, followed by Tata Steel, ITC, HCL Tech, SBI, Bajaj Finserv, Kotak Bank and Bharti Airtel. On the other hand, HUL, Titan, Asian Paints, HDFC were the laggards. That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report. Thank you for watching.
Very much, Ankita. Well, right now, moving on, it is a pity to see Air India. By the way, Air India was the first airplane for me to fly in. on an international basis. So, I've got lots of fond memories of Air India. Well, right now, moving on, let's take a quick look at functions and events. With functions and events, first of all, we will look at the Indoors conference which took place yesterday. Well, the Indoors, many times people can mistake that with India, but it's Indonesia. So it was, and of course, Indonesia and India share the same Independence Day. So hence, many times we have the functions at the same time. Well, Indoors had their function last night, and we have our India Day fair on 23rd. Their leader is David Wadija, who serves with me on the Multicultural Roundtable. So we always plan that we have our events on a different day. So here's a quick glimpse from last night. And that normally resembles quite like a Bihu dance or one of the Assami dances there. As you know, the customs and traditions, the dance, and of course the language as well, they call it Bhasa. As in Hindi, it's called Bhasa, so they call Bahasa. And many things, very closely related with our customs and traditions. So it is very, very good to see. So as you can see, the hall was quite full, and it is the challenging times. What are the challenges? It was done in person and virtually, because we had people joining in all the way from Indonesia as well. One of the themes that came out was, of course, as I mentioned before, the tourism is tipped to be booming right after the post-pandemic. As soon as the borders and travel restrictions finish, there will be a boom in the travel industry. Well, of course, yesterday's thing was that we are very fortunate and we are lucky to be living here in Queensland, where an event like this could take place, face to face, and so many people gathered at the convention centre yesterday to take part in a full-day conference and the grand gala dinner last night. So David Wadija and the team and Kaskrasila, they did a wonderful job of putting it together. The whole event ran seamlessly, and I must commend the IV team there for doing a marvelous job of putting everything together, and it just flowed on. And just one day before the event, the organizers were still worried that something might happen, another case might come in or something like that. And so, organizing something under those unforeseen circumstances is very, very hard and very, very tough. But Team Indus, well done. Congratulations and thank you very much for having us there as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have for you today. And heading into the weekend is, thank God, it's Friday. And don't forget that if you are going out, and you are fortunate enough to be going out to functions and events, and we know there's lots that's happening right here in Brisbane, please make sure that you exercise care because of course, while you have an opportunity to go to all these functions and events, one wrong move and all that could be jeopardized, and one person's mistake could cost everyone. So it is very, very important that we maintain the social distancing and that we follow those health rules and regulations that have been put down, and of course that we are careful and vigilant. Well, here's some of the functions and events taking place. Divyajyoti Jagriti Sansthan presents chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita, a tale of a defeated being, from being dead to becoming an invincible warrior. So what was the condition that changed a defeated being into an invincible warrior? So that is Bhagavad Gita, a tale of the defeated being. And this is going to be happening at the Queensland Vedic Centre, which is at 198 Leroy Road in Willawang. And it is a tale of a defeated being, as I mentioned before, and this is taking place tomorrow, meaning the 18th of the month from 5 p.m. onwards, presented by Divyajyoti Jagriti Sansthan. So we'd like to see you all there for this wonderful event. gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you today. And thank God it's Friday. Yes, go out and enjoy the weekend. But to be responsible, make sure that all the rules and regulations are observed, and that your health and the community interest is always the best. Look, when we talk about community, it is very, very, important that whenever we do anything, it should be in the best interest of the community, should be the best interest of others as well, not always yourself, not always what's good for you, get out of your comfort zone if that's what it means, that you need to get out of your comfort zone, but look at the wider community and look at the well-being and the interest of the wider community rather than your own personal being, which many times means, getting out of the comfort zone, doing things that is not too comfortable for you, which is not what you'd like to do, but which is the right thing to do for the community. And when we're talking about the community as well, see, we are a media agency, so we have to talk about and we have to cover each and every function, event, and incident that happens. And we cannot be exclusive and we cannot be seclusive. We cannot leave out functions and events, and we have to report on each and every community and what's happens out there. We cannot just sweep under the carpet things that are happening. So that's our stance there, but as long as it's the truth, it's the right thing, we will always do the right thing. So until tomorrow, it's goodbye. Don't forget that tomorrow we'll have the weekend edition at 10 a.m. right here. Until then, it's goodbye from me.